Oh, wait, I think you're on mute.
I was muted. You think it
Awesome. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me here.
All right. Well, hey, before we get started with questions, I know we have several from the media here in attendance. We wanted to ask you, I saw that your 2022 paint scheme was just released. It's creating a little bit of some Twitter conversation right now. Tell us a little bit about what your number 22 Ford will look like this season.
Yellow, a lot of yellow. We're going to see that car on the racetrack for sure. I thought Shell and Penzo coming together doing that video on our social pages did a great job at kind of explaining the story of what next gen is for NASCAR and what next gen is for Joey Logano and what it is for Shell and Team Penske, and kind of going to the next level and unveiling a cool paint job while we're at it. So obviously it's very clean. It's very I call it basic, which I think is a lot of times a good looking scheme. You get too many lines on things, you miss the some of the awesome body lines that are on this next gen car. So it really kind of examples a lot of the cool curvature of the new design on the next gen car. And like I said, she's clean. She looks good. She's got some polished up wheels on it. That's something that definitely sets it apart from a lot of other cars on the racetrack. And that's obviously a lot of work on Team Penske's side to do that. But it's definitely going to be unique when you see that on a Team Penske car. So, proud to finally unveil. I know everyone's been waiting, but we just felt like 22 is the right time. We felt like we should play off the 22 and 22 and then go at this date as well to do the unveil. So pretty excited about the car. Excited to drive it this weekend.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to get straight to questions, and to kick us off, we're going to start with Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin, with your question for Joey.
Thank you. Hey, Joey, with the recent switch to some of these tracks, the rules, and now this new car meant to keep everybody close together, obviously the more potential for conflict and contact and so forth. How have you seen, I guess, the rest of the field kind of deal with their personal code of conduct and what they're going to do and what not? And I know you've always kind of been more of that aggressive side in the sense of, hey, when it's time to win, it's time to go in a lot of ways. How have you seen the competitors adjust the last couple of years, and how has that made you have to adjust maybe some of your own personal conduct or how you have to respond in certain situations, because you're probably in more of those now?
You're definitely, you hit the nail on the head. You're in that position more and more every year. As you see the way the playoff schedule is, especially last year, right? There is moments when you're on the racetrack that tests your character, right? It tests who you are and how you want to race and what are you going to do to make it to the championship or to win a championship. And NASCAR has put us all in a position to make challenging decisions on what is right. And I'll be 100% honest with you. A lot of times you don't know what's right? You try to play out all the scenarios in your mind before the weekend starts so you know what to do in the moment. But, half the time it's something that comes up that's maybe something you didn't think about or maybe something you didn't have the answer to yet, and you're forced to make a decision in a split second. That's the position that we're put in. That is very entertaining for you guys. That sucks for us sometimes. And you just got to do what you got to do. It is something that I think all of us drivers will think about a lot. And the Clash is no different. You look at the way they designed this racetrack, not the fact that it's just small, but the way they put the curbing on the bottom. It just seems like it opens the door for more contact and sliding it down in there. So we will have to wait and see, right? There's going to be moments, there's transfers that are going to, probably do what they got to do to get in to the feature. And you got to no points on the line, so I think it just kind of depends, right? Just because there's no points on the line doesn't mean that grudges don't get carried over to the next race either. So it's a tricky place to be. So it's like I said, I don't have the answer for you, but we are put in the spot a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. Our next question will go to Claire B. Lane. Go ahead, Claire.
Thank you. A little trouble unmuting there. It wouldn't do it when I pressed it. Okay, here's the deal. You were talking about, I loved the talk about character, etc., right? And how much that you have to push it or not. And it's the whole team. But as the driver, as you look at the driver, so how much is it worth to you, Joey Logano? You know, the Clash, a lot of eyeballs on it. Big in LA. Your sponsor just unveiling the new car. Start of the season, but not Daytona, right? Not points race. Okay, so I mean, what's your moral code as you head into the Clash?
To be honest with you, you have to be consistent. And what's consistent? I'm going to win, right? I'm going out there to win the race. That's the goal, and we do what it takes to do that. But you have to have your moral code, and what is considered okay. Is straight up dumping somebody okay to go win the race? I don't think so, right? That's not really in my cards. Now, bump and run, I've proven that's okay. And the facts are you have to be okay with it happening to you. And am I okay with getting wrecked? No. Am I okay with getting moved out of the way? Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna be happy about it, but I'm gonna have to be okay with it if I'm gonna do it. I feel like that should be the code. Whatever you're okay with happening to you, you should be all right with doing to somebody else. So that's probably what it is, and that's only fair, right? That's just what it is. So, yeah, that's what we're going for. We're going to win. You're right. There's gonna be a lot of people watching this. It's probably going to be the most highly rated Clash of all time, I bet. You know, from TV, from really anything, right? There's more people talking about the Clash this year than ever, because we're doing something different, kind of like the dirt race last year. We talked about it so much that, boy, a lot of people are going to tune in and watch because it's such the unknown. You know, so there's a lot of good things that go along with the Clash, but also a lot of tricky situations.
No easy answer to this, but would you do as much, the same, or more to win the Clash than you would the Daytona 500?
I feel like it's the same. Like I said, you got to be consistent.
Mm-hmm. Same feeling for both races.
Maybe win Daytona 500 is a little better feeling. Pays a lot better. I promise you that. Maybe a lot cooler trophy too. So I can't say that it's the same thing, but you're probably raced the same way. We're competitors and want to win. So I don't think anything changes.
Thank you, Joey. Appreciate it.
All right. Our next question will go to Matt Weaver. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Joey, thanks for taking time today. I got two for you. The first one, it's been since 1971, Bowman Gray Stadium, since the Cup Series is raced on a true bull ring, a quarter mile. We added a dirt race last year, which you very well know. How important is it to kind of get back to these kind of grassroots style tracks and races?
Yeah, I think it's cool that we're doing different things, right? And I've been saying this all along. It's not the next gen car; it's next gen NASCAR. Everything is going to change with it, and obviously, you guys know all the details that go along with that now. That's not just the car; it's different tracks, it's different formats. You know, it's different weekend formats. Name it. So a lot of different things are going along with this. And I think there's a lot of good things with that. Going back to, like you said, some of the short tracks and routes of our sport is great. I don't know about quarter mile racing yet. Last time I was on a quarter mile, I was driving a Legends car and I was 9. So I think this is going to be pretty different. It's a full size car out there. I don't know what we're going to have for room, but it'll be interesting and we'll learn. Either way, we're going to know whether we want to do this again or not. You're muted.
Sorry. With the new brake package and the grippier tire, I'm curious, is this going to look like here in probably Martinsville, Richmond? Is it going to look like the same short track racing that we've known the last several years, or is it going to adjust a little bit?
Some things will change. You want a short track, being quite frank, the cars are probably they're just different. I don't want to say they're easier or harder to drive, but your brakes probably aren't going to be at limit anymore, right? You got huge brakes on these cars. Wheel hop is not really a thing with the independent rear suspension. So you're not going to have wheel hop, but all this allows you to dive it down in the corner harder. And so it's going to change the racing a little bit, I think. There's less risk on wrecking yourself by overdriving the car. which is going to change the way we all race each other. So I'll be interested to see what that looks like. I don't know if the Clash is going to be the best example of what Martinsville will look like, or other short tracks, because it's just so different, and it's a repave. Well, it's a new pave, whatever you want to call it, but it's new asphalt, right? Which is also a lot different than our other short tracks.
Thanks, Joey.
Thanks.
All right. Our next question will go to Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Joey, as a Northeast guy, did you have any thoughts on Tom Brady retiring? Like, were you sad to see him go, or did you already dismiss him once he went to Tampa Bay?
No, I stuck with Tom Brady, just because I respect the way he's done it, and he's the best, right? So it's fun to follow someone's career like that strives for excellence to the degree that he has in his career, and the underdog story, right? Like, he eventually was not the underdog, but to start his career, he was. And watching some of the documentaries on his career and things like that is highly entertaining to me. So I always found myself rooting for him. Even when he left the Patriots, I still stuck with him, because I think he's, a stand-up person. It doesn't seem like you ever hear anything bad about him. To be honest with you, I would always say that, Tom Brady and Jimmy Johnson probably have a lot in common. And the amount of championships they've won, the person that they seem to be. I know Jimmy obviously better than I know Tom Brady. I never met him, but it seems like they do a lot of things in a similar way, and they're pretty dang successful because of it.
Thank you.
All right. Our next question will go to Lee Spencer. Go ahead, Lee.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us. I remember the 22 and beyond press conference we had at Daytona a few years back. So, did you really see yourself when we reached 2022, you being the guy that basically would be the veteran voice, the veteran guy at Team Penske?
I can't. There's been plenty of times in my life, especially recently, over the last 2 or 3 years, that I look back 10 years ago and I go, boy, would never call that one, right? It never called this happening, or having some of the people that have come along with me throughout the whole ride, and say, boy, you wouldn't have called that, would you? I don't know. I really enjoy the surprise of life. Just, you kind of roll with the punches and let things happen and try to control what you can control, and Jesus take the wheel through the rest of it, and you end up somewhere, and this is better than I could ever expected. So grateful to be in the position with Team Penske, with a great partner at Shell and Pennzoil, and 10 years with this partnership this year, says a lot about the consistency, who we are, what we stand for, the loyalty, all those things. I take a lot of pride in. I think that's a really special thing. You don't see that a lot in our sport, with drivers and teams and sponsors all sticking together for that long. It's pretty rare. So I take a lot of pride in being a part of that equation at Team Penske.
And just kind of curious, I know we're not going to have pit stops at the Coliseum, but how much time have you spent on the choreographing of pit stops? Because, everybody said it's just going to be night and day from what we have seen in the past. And I'm just, how much practice are you personally involved with at the shop?
Some, not as much as I'm involved enough to know how they're changing their placement on the car and what they're doing differently and how quick it is and those type of things. Obviously, I'm in tune with all that stuff, but that is it's going to be different for sure. The teams are doing it in different ways. In each team, right? You see some different things because I don't think everyone's home enough for what's the best. And then it also changes the strategy too, right? If you have a faster pit stop, well, it makes you think differently at some racetracks. So you got to keep all that in mind. So everything is different with this car, like I said. So, not just the cars and the way the driver has to work the air to move and pass cars and do things, the crew chief also has to think about calling the race differently, because fall off's going to be different and pit stops are going to be different. Fuel mileage is going to be a lot different. How quickly we can fill up the car is different. So and getting the car full in the shorter pit stop now is also a part of the equation. So there's a lot to think about, and a lot of things we have to kind of figure out as we go.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, our next question will go to Jordan Bianchi. Go ahead, Jordan.
Hey, Joey, if Sunday's race proves successful and it's good action on the racetrack and everything works, have you given any consideration on where if you'd like to see this idea extended elsewhere?
I haven't put much thought into it yet. But if it does work, shoot, pick up the walls and set them down somewhere else. Keep going. Go from one stadium to the next. I think it's awesome that, if this does work, it gives us the ability to race downtown, right? It gives us the ability to race in the middle of cities where the stadiums are placed. And if we can do that, I think that brings our sport to a whole different level. As much as I love our racetracks and they're great, they need a lot of space, right? Not just for the racetrack itself, but for camping, for everything that goes along with it. It's a different environment than what it is in the middle of the city, like a football game or baseball game or, whatnot. So if this works, this gives us the ability to go downtown anywhere, and that's a whole different fan base that I don't think we've reached our full potential in yet. So if this works, it's great for our sport. So I'm saying if, because we haven't done it yet. We have to wait and see. It's definitely changing the game. So we'll kind of see how it works.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, our next question is going to come from Jack Smith. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Joey, thanks for your time. Back in 2020, you had a lot of success racing out here on the West Coast. So I'm curious, how does it feel to be back out here, specifically going to be in a brand new iconic venue like the Coliseum?
Yeah, I'm glad to go back out there. A lot of great race fans. I always think of Fontana is one of the best camping racetracks we go to. You just see the environment. Everyone's hanging out, riding their bikes around, a lot of family environment out there. So I love the Fontana experience. Sonoma obviously is very special as well. Different landscapes, different people, different. It's sometimes it's a different world, right? I mean, you think about the cultures, how different it is when you go from north to south, east to west. The cultures are different, the people are different, and it's fun to be able to tap into all those markets. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that in the last couple of years. So I'm excited to go back.
Yeah, and I asked the same question to Will Byron earlier, but what would you say to prospective fans out here on the West Coast who haven't followed NASCAR? This might be the first race they're watching on TV or going to in person. What would you have to say to them? Why should they follow along with NASCAR?
You got to go, right? You got to go and watch it. It's hard to explain how NASCAR is until you go there. It's been so many times throughout my career where somebody will say, man, I didn't watch NASCAR until I went to a race the first time. And they go, I didn't know it was all that. I thought it was just you guys driving in circles. And once they start seeing what it is, they become hooked 9 times out of 10, it seems like. So, I love hearing that stories. But so me telling somebody what it's like, I don't think puts it into perspective until you can actually just go there and see it. Usually everyone gets hooked from there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. And Joey, I won't have the opportunity to get to every question here, but did want to throw this last one at you before we let you go. So thank you again for spending time with us. But as you start your 10th season with Team Penske, how have you seen your role evolve, and especially entering this year as kind of the veteran driver? How do you see your role in the 2022 season?
Yeah, definitely feel like it is changed drastically. And it's interesting. I've really adjusted some things in my life. I got this new motto in my mind: less better. That's what I want to do. I want to do less things and do it better. So I'm kind of cleaning up some of the stuff that doesn't isn't as important. and focusing on the things that are the most important. So I'm pretty excited about that, because obviously as one of the leaders in the organization, takes on a lot more responsibility, takes on a lot more work, and a lot more ability to direct, and especially with this next gen car, it's bringing on a lot more work for everybody included. So a lot more to think about, do more decisions to make, and want to make sure that I am ready for that. So less better. That's my thing, and pushing that through this year. So I'm excited about that, and as a leader of Team Penske, I'm excited about what we got coming our ways. The tests have gone pretty well. Our teammates are working well together. Blaney and I are probably closer than we ever been. And that's a good thing. He seemed to step up as well. So I think the two of us can help guide the rookies into places to where all four of us can lead together, right? In different departments and do different things. So I think we're coming a long ways. There's going to be some learning curves for everybody, for myself included, and the guys that have been here for 15, 20 years are going to have a learning curve as well. And as much as the rookies are going to have learning curves this year. So lot to do, lots of work to do.
All right. Well, on that note, we will end today's media session, but thank you again for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck this weekend at the Clash, and again in a few weeks at the Daytona 500. So thank you again, Joey. We hope you have safe travels out to LA, and to all the media who joined us as well. Please know that